caminho, jogo em ação. Lá tem samba até de manhã, uma giga em cada andar. O meu lugar é cercado de luta e suor, esperança no mundo melhor e cerveja pra comemorar. O meu lugar tem seus mitos e seres de luz, é bem perto de Oswaldo Cruz, Cascadura, Barulho, Pirajá. O meu lugar é sorriso, é paz e prazer. O seu nome é doce dizer, Madureira. O meu lugar é caminho, jogo e ação. Lá tem samba até de manhã, uma giga em cada andar, cada andar. O meu lugar é cercado de luta e suor, esperança no mundo melhor e cerveja pra comemorar. O meu lugar tem seus mitos e seres de luz, é bem perto de Oswaldo Cruz, Cascadura, Bajuru, Pirajá. O meu lugar é sorriso, a paz e o prazer. O seu nome é doce dizer. Como é que é, gente? Madureira. Mais uma vez. A saudade me faz relembrar os amores que eu tive por lá. É difícil esquecer nosso lugar, que é eterno no meu coração. É os poetas faz inspiração para cantar e escrever. Ah, meu lugar, quem não viu te amar é dançar, com Maria o terreiro benzer, e ainda tem jogo a luz do ar. Mas meu lugar, tenho coisas pra gente dizer, o difícil é saber terminar. Madureira. Diz aí. Madureira. Mais uma vez, Madureira. E parece que no pagode não para.
Bom dia. Charles Clark here, your real estate investor broker with another bright idea. Welcome to the Investor Execution Lab. I will take you through what it takes to be a real estate investor in this day and age, in this market, and show our system and how it can help you build your real estate business. Honestly, what I tell people is I can help you get into $1 million portfolio in the next 3 years. And if you follow this system, I definitely know we can get that done. And I know we can get your property in the next 90 days if you follow our system. So welcome. First, I want to give a big shout out to Next Home My Way. I am in their media studio where I hold all my webinars. So I want to give them a big shout out. This is where I have my broker license sitting up and where I have my company Raise the Standard. So thank you, Angel, Jose, and Carlos for giving me this platform to allow me to share my passion with other people and have the studio that honestly, I don't think there's no other brokerage that has a social media studio in their office where agents can hold webinars, do their videos, and promote their brand. And that this is what I'm able to do here. So thank you again to Next Home My Way for allowing me to be here. All right, so let's get into the presentation. How to build a real estate business in the next 8 to 12 weeks without guessing, reacting, or doing it alone. This is the investor execution system that I built over the years of being in real estate and building up my own real estate portfolio. Just realizing um, there were certain things that you need to have in place so that you can ensure that you are doing the things necessary to build up that portfolio. Um, in the start of my career, I got up to 15 units in 18 months. I was able to, with my partner, it was my ex at the time, got 4 units, a duplex, and then we got an 8 unit, and then we sold the 4 unit and got a 5 unit. So I was able to do that within, like I said, 18 months. And that's just because I had a system in place. I was running numbers, I was connecting with other people, and doing the things that I needed to do to build up that portfolio. And as I was going through those things, I realized I was putting a system together, started writing it down, and it's basically what I put my clients through, especially the ones that are new, um, to ensure that, um, like I say, I like to train my future clients, right? I want to make sure that my clients are aware and they have the resources and tools to um, be successful. One of the things that I express to my clients is that I don't help you buy a property, I help you buy a business. It just so happens to be a property. So I more look at myself as being in the buying business, if you want to say, because buying a duplex is not buying a single family home that you're moving into. You're buying a business and fix and flips, right? You're not buying a single family home. You're buying a business that you are going in, improving, and selling to the next person. That's no different than that. The bar show, I forget, where they go in and fix the bar up, right? This is no different than um, what I want venture capitalists that go in and purchase a company, make some changes, you know, upgrade some things, and then put it back on the market to sell. We're doing the same thing. We're just doing it with properties. And the sooner you have a business mindset, the sooner you're going to scale. I think that's what I mainly realized why I put this together is that I was running into too many clients that after we closed, they were treating the business almost like it was a hobby. And I realized that instead of me looking for referrals or, looking for another client, if I worked with that client who just bought a property, they're more likely to buy another property sooner than me finding someone that's brand new. I mean, a fix and flip. If I help them get everything going, that we buy a property in January, we're back on the market in March, we're selling in April, and then they're buying another one in May. That's 3 transactions with one person. I rather work with those type of individuals than trying to find one person to buy their dream house, find another person to buy their dream house, and then hopefully they'll refer me somebody in their family. So that is the premise around why I built this program, was to help educate investors on how to become, run their business from the jump so that we can help scale their business sooner than later. Oh, missed that there. So real estate investor, Milwaukee, southeastern Wisconsin. Um, I am the founder of Raise the Standard. I did build the Aspire deal analysis framework that is based off of the Aspire mastermind group that I co-run with my partners, which helped help put the framework together. That it was basically a meetup group that wanted to get investors to come together um, and talk and collaborate and eventually do deals together. So from that, I realized that we were doing something bigger than just coming together and having some drinks and talking about real estate. We were aspiring for more. We were aspiring to have a bigger portfolio, aspiring to have a different life. And from that, the framework for the deal analysis came from out of that. Um, my whole goal, again, I tell people, if you have a 5-year goal, it should be a 1-year goal. I mean, a 3-year goal with me. I have a challenge with all my clients that I'm going to get them to $1 million portfolio in 3 years. I have, a client right now that we got them to $500,000 last year. Our goal is to get them to $1 million this year. So we're underway right now. We're actually analyzing deals. We just put some offers out, and we're waiting to hear from some sellers to see if they're going to take our offer. But we're constantly writing offers, running analysis and things of that nature. And, part of this is creating that relationship with my clients to better understand what they're trying to accomplish in the long run, so that I can help them get there sooner than later. Because this is a team sport, right? This is not about doing this alone. I think a lot of real estate investment books make it out to being an individual doing it, when you need a team. You need, an agent, broker, lender, contractors, insurance, property manager, roofer, plumber, window guy, pest control, all the above, right? So it's a team sport. By this end of the webinar, you'll understand why most investors never scale. I'm going to share my 5 pillars of every successful investor operates through, and how we can get you on there. I'm going to share the Aspire deal analysis framework, show you part of it and what it, and then I probably will go through, if we have time, I actually will analyze a deal in front of you guys using the Aspire calculator. And just how we can get you from 8 to 12 weeks. Obviously that's the goal. That's what I want you to focus on. Most people don't want to see the hot dog get made. They just want to enjoy it at the baseball game with a nice cold one, right? So it's going to show you the results that you're looking for. And again, I know everyone thinks $1 million, and like, even, having $1 million portfolio, it doesn't mean you're a millionaire. It's just that they're going to come a point where if you pay off all that equity, you have $1 million, right? And that's the whole goal of some of this, right? So the sooner we can get the value of your portfolio to $1 million, the sooner you will be a millionaire on paper, right? Because you have assets. Now, obviously, having the equity minus the debt, you'll be lower than that. But the whole point is to get you to that first milestone. And I think that is a huge milestone that most people should aim for, because at the end of the day, that's 4 $250,000 properties, right? That's in my market, that's 4 really nice duplexes. That is, giving you a good return on your return on your investment. Here's what's possible, right? Investors stuck at one property for 3 years, no system, no framework, just hoping for deals. I took one of my clients through the investor execution system. We analyzed a bunch of deals, had bad offers and things of that nature. Eventually we got a deal. Like I said, my client from last year, that was basically the one I'm talking about. Got them in a duplex. My number's wrong here. He has 3 doors. It's a duplex and a single family, so I apologize for that. But basically got him 3 doors in less than a year. Like I said, his portfolio is at $500,000 right now. Bought one property. We had it under contract at 175. Got it at 150. And then we did a fix. He put about, I want to say 100 into it and it was about, no, a little bit less than that because we got it under 150 actually. He put about, I want to say 90 in it. I think he was all in about 220, 230. And then they got appraised out at 250. He was able to still pull some money out of that one. And then we bought a single family about 120, I think. He put about 60 in that, and that appraised out at around 249. So that got us at the $500,000 mark. But he was stuck. We were analyzing deals. He got to the point where he was kind of nervous from pulling the trigger, and then, we were able to kind of get him through the system and helped him realize that, give him the confidence. And I think that's what ultimately this program gives a lot of my clients is they're smart. They already kind of, they need some more structure with the deal analysis, but they're smart. They know, how to run numbers or what they're looking at. They might just not completely understand the strategy they need to go and trust in the system. And at the end of the day, that's really what I give you guys is a system. It's a system to say, if this, then move forward, right? If this, then start over, right? And those are the things that people need to help them move forward. At the end of the day, guys and gals, this is a system business. I try to tell people it's not about transactions. It's a system business, right? Does this deal work? Well, that's a loaded question, right? Because if you have a strategy in your head, if you have a goal in your mind that you're trying to accomplish, does that property fit what you're trying to accomplish? And that's really what you need to focus on. Does this deal fit what I'm trying to accomplish? This is for you if you're a professional ready to start investing, right? I try to share with people that a lot of my clients are professional individuals that are in their job. Some of them love their job and they don't want to leave their job, but they know they need to invest in real estate. I try to tell people the 5 things you need to invest in to be wealthy. That's bonds, stocks, real estate, businesses, and individuals. And the flip side of that is if you invest in an individual like yourself, you're going to start a local business, buying a property, right? Well, you buy that duplex, you're a local business. You buy enough of those, you're going to probably need to buy real estate to maintain your business in. And so now you're buying more real estate, right? Real estate and business are, it can, like I said, it could be synonymous, it could be the same thing at once, right? Because as I say, I don't help you buy a property, I help you buy a business, just so happens to be a property. So technically you're accomplishing 2 and 3 at the same time. But eventually, you get 30 properties, you might need to create office to manage all your properties because you don't want people coming to your home office. Stocks, if you get big enough, you go on the market, and then if you get really big enough, your company can release bonds, and or you should invest in government bonds because that helps round out your portfolio. So individuals of all types, doctors, lawyers, accountants, middle management at manufacturing corporations, all these individuals know they should invest in real estate. And I try to focus on those individuals because they already have something that they're focused on, and they need a team to assist them with building their real estate portfolio. It's no different than your financial advisor. I'm just your financial advisor for your real estate portfolio, where you have another financial advisor over your stocks and bonds, right? You bought 1 or 5 properties installed. I got an example. Had someone reach out to me saying they're stuck. They want to scale and they just don't know how to go about it. And so one of the questions I asked them was, did you already buy a property? And their question, and their answer was yes. And I was like, so what's going on with that property? It was like, it's a great property. It's cash flowing. I got good tenants in there, and everything's going perfectly. And I was like, well, are you able to pull money out? And he's like, no, why? And I was like, well, there you go. That was a bad purchase, because your goal wasn't cash flow. Your goal was scaling. You wanted to get multiple properties sooner than later so that you can build your business out, so you can protect yourself, because he felt comfortable. He didn't feel comfortable in his industry because of some changes that were happening. So by that strategy, by that mindset, even though that property was cash flowing, that was the wrong property. So that's what I was talking about earlier. Is this a good deal? Well, technically, by his definition of his strategy, that was a bad deal, even though it was cash flowing, right? We can say it was cash flowing, so that's a good deal. I would say technically it was not for him because of what he was trying to accomplish, right? So just because something cash flow doesn't necessarily mean it's a good deal for you, because it depends on what you're trying to accomplish. If it's all about just cash flow, then yes, that's a good deal. But if you're trying to scale and you need to pull that money back out so you can go get the next deal and you can't, that was a bad deal. I also work with agents, right? Other agents that want to work with investors and don't know how to. I'm gonna get into my background, but my background is in finance, so I understand the investor language, and sometimes other agents don't have that language. You know, you're talking about return on investment, cash on cash return, the 70% rule, opportunity costs, diminishing returns. Some of these terms are not used when you're just trying to buy a house and it's your dream home, right? You're just talking about, actual value, appraisal value, financing contingencies and things of that nature. And if you're executing without a system, the person I just brought up, I don't think they had a system because they were stuck. They didn't understand. They didn't know what they were trying to do. So not having a system in place, is this a good deal? Is that a good deal? Is that a good deal? Well, if you have a system in place, you already know. My goal for today is to show you that this is a proven execution system. And that's, at the end of the day, all that matters. I don't care how much stuff you're reading. I don't care, if you're not executing, then you're not in the game. So it's just the reality of it. If you're not pulling the trigger on deals, if you're not writing offers, if you are not getting accepted offers and getting inspections done and trying to negotiate deals, then you're playing, and this is a serious game. I'm in the business of building real estate investment business. That's what I'm in for. And so if you're not taking those steps to do that, then you're playing, and you just need to keep reading and just watching YouTube videos and seeing other people live the life that you want to live. This is not about motivation. This is literally about execution. And what I say the difference between me, as long as you're trying to buy in Wisconsin, is that my system is that I'm not only giving you a system, but because I'm a licensed broker, I can actually hold your hand through the transactions and get you through it. I'm not just selling you a system and say, good luck. This system is proven because I'm also part of it, and I can help you, and my team can get you through getting pre-approved with a lender, to analyzing deals, to closing on your first one. And we can do that within 90 days. And before then, if you meet certain criteria, obviously you can be pre-approved for a loan and you have a down payment. Had a recent situation with a client where they didn't have to bring money to the table, and they were able to close without a down payment because they got assistance, right? So there's different ways to get in this game, but if you're not executing, then you're just playing. give you a clear investment strategy and help you understand how you get to that point. We will also give you the Aspire framework. Some people just don't know how to analyze deals. So the Aspire framework gives you clear criteria so you know how to analyze a deal. And then because this is a system, you will know what happens next, which then allows you to execute. A lot of times I tell people analyzing a deal is just a funnel. It should just help you to let you know if you should go to the next step, right? Because if the numbers make sense, I should schedule showing or I should write an offer, right? It's that simple, right? I know it's not easy, but it's that simple. So why am I qualified to teach you this, guys? So my background, as I said, I have a finance background. So I graduated from UW Milwaukee with a bachelor's in finance. I have two minors. One minor is in economics, another is in economic development. I have two certificates. I have a certificate in international business when I studied abroad in Paris, France. And then I have another certificate in Latin and Caribbean studies when I studied abroad in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. Falo português pouco. Great program. It was about international finance and learning Portuguese. I don't know a lot, but I know enough to get us drinks, get us some food, find somewhere to sleep, and get us in trouble. But that's some of my background. I'm an investor myself. I also have an associate degree from Milwaukee, MATC, Milwaukee Area Technical College, where I got a degree in business mid-management. Also, been a property manager in my career. I managed over 500 units in my career. I also went through the ACRE program, which is a very highly sought after developer program here in Milwaukee, where we partner with Marquette, MSOE, and UW Milwaukee. It's a program that was taken over by LISC, LISC Milwaukee, which is a local nonprofit, but they are part of the bigger, one of the biggest nonprofit organizations in the United States. After graduating from there, I actually ran the program for almost a year and a half. So I have a developer background. In my career, I got up to a portfolio of 15 units. I'm a licensed real estate broker. I originally got my license in 2005. I let it go around 2011. When I started working for a bank, worked for a mobile home community to learn how to manage that. And then I got into banking to understand that. I went from a teller to relationship teller to a relationship banker to not a part-time manager, but a co-manager. So I know banking from that standpoint. I was responsible for businesses that was under $1 million. So got my, feet wet in those different areas. But that is why I'm qualified to share with you and let you know my ability to get you from zero to your goal. So where I started, my desire was, most people, Carlton Sheets, being a young Black man, I wanted my opportunities to have control over my future and wanting to be able to dictate the things that I wanted to do in life, right? I don't, people say financial freedom, but it was more about a lifestyle. And I kind of portray that to my clients as well, right? If my client want a a new car. I don't say, well, don't do that. I say, well, let's go get a duplex. Let the duplex pay for your new car. If you want to go on, 2 more vacations, 3, 4 vacations out of the year, let's go get a 4 unit. Like, let the 4 unit pay for those vacations you want to take. I don't think it's all about waiting till you're 50 years old or 60-year-old when you're retired to take advantage of these investments. You should enjoy the investments while you have them, because who knows what happens, right? So, one of my goals is to buy a property and have that property just sit and put in an account for my son. And then when he's ready to graduate, from high school, and he wants to go to college, we can, either sell it or take that money out and help him pay for his college or whatever he wants to do, right? So it's not necessarily always for the future. It could be for right now. So I would say the financial freedom for me was more of having the lifestyle that I desire to live. I struggled like everyone else. I didn't understand some of the deals. I didn't understand what I was trying to accomplish. I didn't understand what needed to be done to understand a deal and when I should pull the trigger. So, like, how I started, making things not a guess was, I call it reverse engineering. It was like, okay, Charles, where did you want to end up? And first it was just like, okay, I want to make 5,000 a month. All right, well, you want to make 5,000 a month. What is an acceptable amount from per door, right? If you have a duplex, what are you looking at? Well, all right, I should at least get 250 a door. All right, well, each duplex should be at least 500. Now I can analyze. Now I can analyze a deal because now I have a framework to put each deal against to know if I should move forward. If you don't have that, if a deal makes 300 and a deal makes 700, well, obviously you're going to assume the deal that makes 700 is a better deal. Well, that might not be the case, So I just realized that I didn't have systems in place. Again, what helped me with my internal struggle is that, again, I had to, the reverse engineering. If what am I actually trying to accomplish? So my goal is I want 525 units, and I want those in 7 locations, 5 national, 2 international, and I want 60% of my portfolio to be developments, right? That means it might not start that way, right? My whole portfolio now is 100% rentals, right? It's nothing that I develop, but my goal is to eventually move to that. So that is just helping me frame things, right? And just like the people I'm trying to help, I reached a point where, I scaled, but I didn't necessarily had it written down. I was just doing it. I didn't really have a system. So when I realized that happened, like, I had to, again, like, almost reverse engineer and say, okay, how did I get here? And that's where I had my epiphany, where I lacked a system. It was just I was just doing. And when you're just doing and not having a system in place, you don't know why things are happening. And once I realized that, that's when, like, everything kind of clicked. I realized I was reading all these books and I was, implementing these things without truly understanding I had a system, right? And soon I understood, like, I had a system, but I needed to actually follow it, is when everything changed for me. As everyone goes through their situation, right? My trial and error, my, making my mistakes, and I've bought my bad deals, right? And it's okay. And I always tell people you can recover, right? If someone can recover from $100 million loss because they made some mistakes and they know how to, you can recover from a bad deal. And even if the first one's a bad deal, and I think that sometimes people get stuck with pulling the trigger on their first deal because they're so scared that if this is a bad deal, then I'm gonna be stuck and I'm gonna be ruined. I think that's incorrect. If you have a system and your first purchase is a bad one, your system is going to get you out of it. And then you'll be able to do the things that are necessary to keep moving forward. As a system is not luck. It's, it's a system. You're just doing the things. It's adaptable, it's repeatable, and then it's scalable, right? If you should be learning as you go, you should be able to repeat certain things, and then you'll be able to scale, and then you should be able to add individuals in there to help you keep moving forward. The whole point of this system is to give you some structure, and to give you structure and it changes everything because it gives you a framework to work from. Once you have a framework, things can come in, you know what to do, you know where to place them, you know how to treat things, and then you know how to move forward. Again, there's a deal every day. There has yet to be a day I wake up and go on the MLS and there's not an accepted offer. There's not a day that someone is not getting an accepted offer in the market. So the problem is not deals. The problem is the lack of a system. Period. Point blank. That's it. Because if there could be off-market deals, on-market deals, right? There's someone who wasn't on the market yesterday that is on the market today. There's someone who life situation changed from yesterday to today, and now they need to be on the market, and now there's an opportunity. So if you have a system, you can take advantage of those opportunities. The market is shifting now, right? And this is a prime time for investors. If you're an investor, you're never out of the market. Interest rate go up and down, you're thinking like a retailer. And there's two classes. You're either a real estate investor or you're an investor who invests in real estate. That's it, point blank. Those are only two people you can be in real estate. You're a real estate investor or you're an investor who invests in real estate. And sometimes the individuals that say, "Oh, the market is," I got to take a step back. Those are investors who invest in real estate. And sometimes those can be hobbyists. Those can be, individuals that just know they should invest in real estate, but don't have a strategy, don't understand. And sometimes those individuals can have 30, 40, 50 properties. I've run into it. I've run into so many, and I had to say so many, but I've run into enough. Yes, that's what I ran into enough investors who have multiple units and don't know what they're doing. And it's just because they were able to acquire properties and keep acquiring them and maybe have taken advantage of a particular point in the market where they could do it. But I've ran into enough where individuals who are investors who got properties sitting on the market for over 40, 50 days, and that's because they have convinced themselves that the property is worth this, and they're gonna wait until someone gives them their number. To me, those are hobbyists. Because if you're an investor, you should know exactly what your property is worth. So when you put it on the market, it sells so that you can go use that money and put it back to work. Because if you're just sitting there, you're not a true investor. You're just a hobbyist. Sorry. You can kill me in the comments later. So my 5 pillars, it coincides with the Aspire. One is strategy. And successful investors use all 5 of it. You got to have a strategy. And what I normally say with people is reverse engineering, right? What are you trying to accomplish that helps you moving forward, right? If use my example, you want to make $5,000 a month. if that's how we're gonna do it. Where, initially I was, hey, I want 525 units. That's a huge goal. Okay, you know, then my next thing is like, how much do I want to make a year? Okay, I had a little joke with myself because everyone's like, I want $1 million. I was like, all right, what number is right before that? And I think I got my number to 990,000. So 990,000, I want to make a year from the 525 units. And so that broke down to, 77,000 a month. All right. That's a huge jump from where I am now to that, right? So what is something I can aim for right now that can start moving me towards that? So then it got to, okay, I want to make 5,000 a month. Well, 5,000 a month, okay. Well, what is a good number I can make per door? 250. All right. So first goal is get to 20 units, making 250 a door. Have a strategy now. Now I can analyze. Now I can go to 2. Now I can actually analyze a deal because now I have that framework. If I didn't have that framework, I can't analyze a deal because if I don't know what number I should have, and people are like, well, what number should I have? What number do you want to have? Start there, and then maybe you say, well, I want 1,000 a door. Well, then you're analyzing 2,000 properties and nothing makes sense. Then your number is probably wrong, and now you should change it. Right. And now you can go back through all those ones you analyze and say, okay, all right, 1,000 was wrong, maybe 500. Oh, out of those, 2,000 I analyzed, now 750 worked. Right. Now we're somewhere. Right. Now we're analyzing. Capital. OPM. OPM is the only way this things work. Right. You got to have other people's money. That's the only way this works. So that's from you having a down payment and get the rest of the money from the bank, or you having partners, they bring in the money, you find the deal, and then you go to the bank and get the money. But capital, and you still need to have a strategy. You need to have a strategy with the capital, right? For example, equity. People talk about equity, and I have a controversy. Equity is nothing to me until you use it. So it's paper money. So you can have equity all day long, but if it's locked up somewhere, it's not doing you any service, right? So there's 3 ways you can get access to capital. Equity. You sell it. Well, if you're not ready to sell it, then you can do a cash out refi. Well, if you do a cash out refi, it raises the mortgage. Or you can do a HELOC where it's basically a credit card on your property. Well, those are 3 different strategies for your capital, right? If I want to access all the capital, I probably need to sell it. The other 2, the bank is most of the time is only going to give me 75% of what the true value is. So, for example, property is worth 100,000. I got 25,000 in debt. I got 75,000 in equity. The bank is willing to give me $75,000 worth of equity. So I only have access to 50,000 of that because they're going to wipe out my 25,000 debt, give me a brand new loan for 75,000. So now I got 50,000 in cash. Now I got 50,000 in cash to go do something. Well, the HELOC, they might give you actually all 75,000 of it because it's a credit card on that. And now I can use the credit card, right? So depending on that strategy, HELOC, I might use that for a fix and flip because I only need to use it as I go. So I use part of that money for the down payment, and then I use part of that money for the holding costs. I'm going to recoup that. I do a fix and flip. Let's say the fix and flip gets me 100,000. Now I got 75,000 that wipe out my HELOC. Now I got an extra 25 to go do the next deal, right? I might not want to do the cash out refi because maybe I'm doing this on my home and now my mortgage is higher because I pulled that money out. That wouldn't be the right strategy for that capital. So that's just an example there. Execution. If you're not execution, you're not doing anything. If you're not analyzing, you're not closing, you're not managing, and you're not repeating that, and you're not making it scalable, you're not executing, you're just doing it deal by deal. And then always exit strategy. You know what you're doing. Every deal, you should know your exit strategy. Even if you say, I'm buying and holding this forever, there's still got to be an exit strategy. And part of your exit strategy might be, hey, I'm going to refinance this 3 times in the next 20 years or 15 years, right? That's part of the exit strategy. And maybe the exit strategy is, I'm I'm moving this into the trust that's going to take care of my family, right? That's still part of your exit strategy. So you should know how you're going to be exiting a deal, because some people ask that question, well, when should I know when I should sell? You should have already had that answer at the beginning when you bought it. Secret one, the Aspire framework. This is a deal analysis system, removes all the guesswork. So Aspire, I built it off an acronym. It helps frame everything so you know what data you need so you can understand how you're analyzing deals. So let's go. A is for asset address, right? What are you looking at? What is it? You know, what's the address? What is the property type? What is the capability of that area because of the address and that situation, right? You should understand the asset from that standpoint, right? And this could be partly the ARV. You know, you start running those numbers of what is this thing that I'm looking at, and what is the possibilities, right? Is it a fix and flip? Is it a BRRRR? Is it a buy and hold, right? Those are kind of exit strategies. Seller situation. Who's selling? Is it a person? Are they distressed? Is it an LLC? Is it another investor? Is it a bank? Is this bank owned? Right? Understand that situation because that helps you analyze that deal so you know how to approach it. P, purchase price, purchase assumption. What are they asking for it? What I think it should be, right? Based on the CMA I ran. What is it, right? I is for improvements investment, right? Okay, I need to improve this property so I can raise the value of it so I can get close to the ARV so I can pull that money out, right? R is for revenue. Is it cash flow or is it the sale of the property, right? The yield. What is my yield on this property? What is the rent projections if I improve this property? What was the possible cash flow from it? What is the sale if I fix and flip it, right? That's the revenue that you need to consider. And then exit strategy. 5 exit strategies with the calculator. It's buy and hold, BRRRR, fix and flip, creative, seller financing, or wholesaling. Those are the 5 exit strategies you can do. Every letter, every deal, every time, period. If you do this, you'll know how to analyze deals. What is an asset really, right? It's the location. It's not just the address, right? It's the location. It's the property type. What are you looking at? Where's the market? What is the long-term demand? Is there population growth? Like, you want to take all these things in consideration, but you don't want to get carried away either, right? So you do want to understand where this property is and how it fits into the strategy you're trying to accomplish. Property type, multifamily, single family. What are we doing? Then the viability. What will it assess where I needed to, right? Same thing with seller. I kind of went through this. Motivation, timeline, leverage. Is there anything you can do, to help you understand why this deal is available? Is it an actual deal, right? I just with one of my partners, we looked at a property. The seller, it was off market deal. The seller is just unrealistic, and we were so far off. They were at like 165, and we needed to be at 90. We told them, and they, obviously they were like, can't. Then it's not a deal, right? Because he had some interest from individuals around him, and because of those circumstances, he kind of had an inflated sense of the property from that standpoint. So that's just the first part. Don't want to go into too much detail. Like I said, it's part of my secret, and I went through all the other stuff, but those are the things you need to consider when you're trying to analyze the capital plan, right? That's part of the I, right? The I part of Aspire is the capital. How are you going to improve the property, right? How are you going to get the property? Capital follow strategy, right? How are you going to strategize, right? How are you going to use this, right? I'll tell you a recent situation with a client of mine. He was trying to do an FHA 203K loan, And because of that, we ran into certain issues. We ran into contractors that we needed to have approved to be able to do it. We ran into all these issues. But one of the issues that we realized, because we were doing FHA, he wasn't eligible for a down payment assistance. Well, I got him to a new lender. Big shout out to Tabitha. She helped my client out and got him into a conventional loan where he only had to put actually 5% down. Well, in that process, he got the down payment assistance, which covered all of his down payment. And then because he was buying a property in a certain location, the bank that he got the loan from actually had another program to help him pay down some more stuff. So he actually ended up not coming to the table with any money and actually walked away with a check. How about that, right? So got to have a strategy on how you're going to use the capital, right? Fix and flip, typically a hard money loan. DSCR loans are typically for, your duplexes, triplex, 4 units, your rental units. They tend to not have loan for fix up. So hard money is typically for that. Execution system, right? The strategy without execution is just a dream, right? You can have it all in your head, but if you're not moving forward with it, that's where it's going to stay. So the system makes this repeatable, right? Deal sourcing. I don't care where you source it. You can be off market. You can be wherever. I have found, I want to say I probably found 98% of all my deals on market. And the reason why, and again, you could say because I'm a licensed broker and I'm biased, fair enough. But when something's been sitting on the market for 100 days, the seller feels it, right? But if you've been off market for 100 days, you can always tell yourself, well, I wasn't really trying to sell it. But when it's on the market and it's been sitting, it's known, and then now you can negotiate, right? And it's open market because they can be like, well, it is worth this. Well, if it was worth that, you would already have a deal. But if it's off market, they might really feel like, hey, that's what it's worth. So deal analysis, right? Using Aspire, right? I run the deals the same time every time. I don't let my emotions get into play, and the calculator that I have removes all that, so I can manipulate it to try to make it a deal when it's not a deal, right? Know your financing, capital stack, right? That's one of the big things that I learned going through the Aspire program. The ACRE program is capital stack. I can get 20,000 from him. I can get 10,000 from there. Just like my client got 10,000 from a nonprofit organization, got some money from the bank. He was able to use some of his money to get us in the deal, right? So that's the capital stack. Where are you getting your money from to get the deal done, right? Close and execute, right? Contract, due diligence. We're going through it, right? A lot right now. I've been telling my clients that, hey, let's get under contract. Sometimes the seller is unwilling to see the true value of their property until you get it under contract and you get an inspection in there. Well, it wasn't that bad. Well, when you get an inspector in there, it's like, well, it was really bad. You just accepted it at that. Now they're more willing to negotiate that price, right? But that's part of having a system. And then your execution. Right now, the name of the game is BRRRR, right? It's adding value. I mean, people with money, you're buying something that already has value. You want the blue chip. You're just looking for cash flow. Well, that's different. Those are different type of investors. I would say mostly right now the investors I work with are individuals that are trying to do value add and do something where they're improving the property so that they can refinance out of it, pull money back out, and go do the next deal. Proof and real results, guys. Amateur investors, they're chasing deals. They're thinking short term. They're just trying to react. Like for me, I hate to say this, but it's reality. I have people reach out to me, hey, you got any deals? One, if I had deals, I'm gonna do them myself. If not, I'm gonna give them to my clients. I'm not gonna give it to random people that just calls me out of the blue. And I know sometimes those are in the books, but again, you're just working with random agents, and I'm not a random agent that work with here and there investors. I only work with investors. So you calling me up and saying, do I have any off-market deals? One, you don't know me. And two, I wouldn't give it to you anyway because I would give it to my clients before that. And then if I don't give it to my clients, I'm going to do the deal. So that's reacting to opportunities. Like, what if I did say, yeah, I have an off-market deal? Like, you're just reacting to the opportunity that I put in front of you. And then, you guessing on numbers. I had clients 30% no matter what. Well, what if they priced it right? And now you're 30% below what they already asked when they priced it right. And just because you want to be 30% low, that's not real. You always want to discount. Like, you're not a real investor. I'm sorry, that's me. And then you have no exit strategy. If you like, no, I just, I might fix and flip this depending on how it turns. You need to go into it. I have a situation with my client. We went into it thinking we were going to fix and flip, but I also ran the numbers for it being a rental. The market shifted. He refinanced and made it a rental, and it still worked, right? But we had an exit strategy. And that's where you build systems. You don't think per deal, you think in portfolios. What are you trying to accomplish? And that's why I frame it, hey, let's get you to $1 million portfolio. You could still have 4 fix and flips in the middle of building your portfolio, right? But the mindset is that we're going to build a portfolio, right? And part of your portfolio is that you're buying, acquiring properties and selling them out and buying something else. That's part of your portfolio. That allows you to execute with strategy, right? And then analyze when they expire, right? Because if you analyze what expire, you know how to execute, you know how to move forward. Again, everything kind of is a funnel. And exit drives entry. Hey, I just did a fix and flip. I can buy this other, like I did a fix and flip and now I have enough cash to buy this 4 unit. That exit allowed me to enter into another investment. So if you're a first time investor, stalled, busy, fish, personal, professional, or agent advisor, this program is for you, right? If you don't know where to start, I'm prime for you, right? Obviously you need, you have to have other things, right? Are you pre-approved? Or do you have a down payment? Obviously there's programs where we can work with you. Got to have some income, right? Got to have some drive, but you don't have any systems, right? Stalled investor, you bought 1 to 3, you don't know what's going on. Like the person I brought up earlier, bought a property, but don't know how to get the next one. You're busy professional, right? Your doctor, your engineer, they have money, they know they need to invest, but just don't have time, right? Putting you through this system allows you to understand how to manage the person. So that's my other thing. There's only 2 people. You either manage the property or you manage the person who's managed the property, but you got to manage something. There's no passive income from that standpoint of you don't need to do anything. You're collecting checks. You got to manage something. So you either managing the property personally or you managing someone else who's managing the property personally for you. And then your agent and advisor, individuals that, financial advisors, if you want to better understand how to help your client on how to invest in real estate while also building up their stock portfolio. Other real estate agents, you got a couple of investors, but you don't really know how to manage them and you feel like they might be overtaking you, but you needed some assistance of better knowing how to analyze deals on their behalf. Analyze deals for yourself. I think this is a great program for agents because as a fellow real estate broker and agent, we don't have 401ks, right? We got to build up our own retirement account, and this is a great way to start doing that. Information is out there. We're in the information world, right? Information highway, right? It's about execution. Point blank, period. I don't care. I've been watching YouTube videos. Awesome. Have you pulled the trigger? Have you been analyzing deals and have you put out offers? If you haven't been doing that, you're not executing. Period, point blank, enough said. The RTS Investor Execution Cohort, it's more than just having someone help you analyze deals. It's it's all the above. It's deal analysis training, live deal reviews every week. You get a clear investment strategy. Our team helps you with a capital plan and execution support, and then obviously a community. So part of what you give the cohort is you join the Aspire Mastermind group. We meet monthly, and then we would during this cohort we would also meet sometimes weekly. But you have a community and you have access to a 90-day program that we will put you in so that we can get you in your first deal within 90 days. And out of that 90-day program, there's 3 outcomes that we always push is that even if you can't close on a deal, you'll know why and how to be able to get it, right? You wasn't pre-approved and you don't have a down payment. By the end of the 90 days, you'll know how to be pre-approved and you'll know where you can get a down payment from. The second outcome is you have an accepted offer because we take you through the process. You just haven't closed yet. And then the last one is you already closed and now you're working on getting that property ready so that you either can fix and flip it or you're burning it so that now within the next 90 days to 4 months, I would say 90 days to 6 months, you're going to burn it, pull that money out and go get the next one, right? So again, most programs is just about concepts, videos. We have all these things, but we actually push you forward, right? So the left side, we have those things in there, but we have it in the program to actually push you forward, put you in real life, put you around other investors, and get you moving, get you executing. As I said, everything included investment strategy sessions. You get live weekly deal reviews. You get the execution accountability. You get the Aspire deal analysis training and tool, capital planning workshop, and private community access. You get all that rolled up into this, and you get a framework to how to move forward and execute. Because at the end of the day, this is about execution. 8 to 12 weeks, structured support. Week 1 and 2, we strategize. 3 and 4, we're really focusing on deal analysis. 5 to 6, we're figuring out your capital stack, where we can get you your funds. And then 7 and 10, executing. We're actually putting offers out there. We're actually writing offers, looking for execution, getting it out there. We're setting a number for how many deals we should be putting out there. And again, because you're working with an actual broker, and my team with real estate agents, you are writing actual deals. We're not just playing. And even if we're writing emails, putting offer proposals out there, we can actually write actual offers and get them out there. And then 11 to 12, right? We're scaling and exiting. We're reviewing the results. We're keep moving forward. We're adjusting. Again, by that point, 12 weeks, that's the 90 days, right? That's 4 weeks a month. Week 12, we're either under contract or we already closed and we're moving on to the next one. We're figuring out the deal and we're scaling. We're moving on to the next. You got 2 options, guys. You can figure it out on your own or you implement a proven system. It's a clear strategy from day one. You get coaching and you get faster results. Again, you're closing within 90 days, if not sooner. You're getting $1 million portfolio within 3 years. Hands down, we know what we're doing. We know what we're accomplishing. If you're serious about next step, you reach out to me. You can DM me. You can join today. You can reach out to me. You can go to my website. You can log in and pay for the cohort from there. Sign up and have a 15-minute consultation with me, or you can schedule an hour consultation. Obviously, that's paid, but we do have limited seats because we, focusing on those individuals that are ready to go. We want to make sure that they get the attention that they need. So there are limited spots to how many people we take each cohort because of the 90-day roll to get everyone up and running, get them started, and get them in their first deal. So again, I really appreciate you joining me today. We went a little bit over, but again, want to thank Next Home My Way for allowing me to put on my webinar in their social media lab, media group, media room. Again, I'm with Raise the Standard Real Estate. I'm Charles Clark, your real estate investment broker, here with another bright idea. Beleza.